Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we're going to start working on the cover for Ephemera Queen. And so here is my cover, and it's 8.5 by 8.5 by 2.5. And here's what I've chosen for the inside, which the blue and the pink are both from the 12 by 12 patterns and solids. And then this strip is from the 12 by 12 collection pack. I have to verify that. Yes, it is from the 12 by 12 collection pack. It doesn't have to be. You could have used the smaller one, but that's what I chose. And it looks like I might have trimmed one of these too small, but we'll see in just a second. Okay, I went ahead and the air conditioner started, so I paused and went ahead and inked my papers. And now we're ready to go ahead and lay them down. So I'm going to dry fit it real quick, make sure, yeah, I'm just making sure I'm out of my hinge area. So in the first blip, I told you this was 8.5 by 8.5 by 2.5, and it's actually, I made it a 1/4 inch smaller. So the outside dimensions are 8.25 by 8.25 by 2.5. That does not affect the pocket pages at all. I just made the chipboard pieces a little bit smaller. So I don't have a tutorial for the 8.25 by 8.25. You just have to reduce the chipboard pieces by a 1/4 inch in height and width for the covers, and just in height for the spine. Got a little too much glue there. Okay, now because there's some uneven surface, I just want to take an extra second and a little effort and make sure it's all burnished. The other thing you can do is, if you want, you can put just a solid piece of black cardstock here. I used to do that, and at some point I got out of the habit of doing it, and I don't do it anymore. But I think that tutorial shows that I have a finished piece of black cardstock there. Now there's a slight gap here, and that's fine because we're gonna put a strip there. Which you don't have to do, but that's what I'm planning. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now these are the strips that I've planned to go here. And I think I need to trim it down just a little bit. And so I'm going to do that by marking it because I want it to be an exact fit of what's actually here and how it's actually laid in. So I'm just going to put a little mark on both sides, put in my trimmer, and knock that little bit off. Let's see how we did. A little more. Perfect. Okay. This strip right here is 2 inches, 2 inches wide or tall, depending on how you want to look at it. And okay, and I'm just going to play with this visually and try to decide what I like, where I like it, and I think I pretty much want it centered. Okay. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. Perfect. Okay. Oop, that's kind of low. Let's go up a little bit. I'm just going to use a straight edge to kind of get a sense if I'm roughly in the right place, and I think I need to come up a little more. There we go. Okay, so we got our inside liners done. Next, we're going to start working on the cover. So I'm going to share with you, we're going to use a couple of pieces for the cover. So we're going to use blue and white. I'm sorry, blue and yellow. No, stop it. Sorry, my dog's trying to dig a hole in my carpet for some reason. You're going to start with a 12-inch sheet. So this is actually from the Patterns and, I'm sorry, it is not Patterns and Solids. It's from the collection pack. So I started with a 12-inch sheet and then I just trimmed it down to the height of the book. So in my case, it's 8 1/8, but in your case, it might be 8 3/8 if you're doing 8 1/2 by 8 1/2. So you're going to keep the full length. And then I scored, and again, remember I'm doing 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So you're going to have to adjust it if you're doing 8 1/2 by 8 1/2. I scored at 2 1/2 and right around 5, and that's going to be my spine. So the back is going to have all these stripes, and then there's going to be a little gap that I'm going to put yellow on. And then on the front, you're going to have these stripes and this yellow piece are going to go side by side. So that's how I'm going to install it. So I'm going to start, and the way I'm going to install it is I'm going to install the spine and then lay this out. I'm going to actually glue this down, but I'm not going to put glue on it until I get my spine in, because I can't work that fast. Working on the spine is always very tedious. Okay, so I always use tape on the spine. It's going to get the most movement, so I really recommend using tape here. I need my pick tool. I don't even know why I try with my nails. Okay. So I'm leaving it flat right now because all I'm trying to do is center my spine. I'm trying to bend it so I can see where my score lines are. Once I start laying down the rest of it, I'm actually going to pick it up and curve it. I need to come up a little bit, I think. Nollis, will you stop that? Stop digging. Okay, she was doing some nesting, I guess. All right, so that's in. Now I'm gonna keep it at kind of an angle, and that's about how far open it's gonna be as I lay in the rest of the tape around the hinge. It's important that you do this because if you do it completely open, completely closed, when you open the book, it's gonna buckle your paper. If you do it completely flat, it's gonna crack your paper because it's gonna be too far to pull. So it's about halfway between closed and all the way open. So it's right about there. Okay. I'm going to tape the backing tore on me. There we go. I'm having a hard time getting this to grab. Okay, so that's about where I want it. And you don't have to pre-score it. I did that to help me place it on the album when I was ready to actually apply it. Okay, I went ahead and peeled the tape off the rest. I'm just going to go ahead and record even with the air conditioner in the background. It's another really hot day, so apologize for the background noise. I'll see what I can try to cut out in the editing process, but kind of is what it is. If I keep pausing, I'm never going to get anything done today. Okay, so I'm adding my glue now. And I'm going to press it into place, and again, I'm still holding it at an angle. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. Get my glue added. You can also just tape your cover on, which is great. I mean, it's expensive because tape is more expensive than glue. But if money is no object, tape is probably the better choice. But one of the reasons I use glue, one is expense, but the other is time, because I'm trying to get content out for you guys. It would really slow things down if I put tape on everything. And also raise, you know, the price. Everything would get way more expensive. So, as a rule, anything that's interactive, I try to use tape on, meaning that it's not a stationary flat thing. And if it is stationary flat matte, like the cover of a hinge, that the only thing that's moving is the black part, the cardstock part, not the panel itself, then I use glue. So tape is what you want to use if it needs to be flexible, or is going to be flexible. Okay, so now I've got this yellow piece that's going to go right here. And just for reference, this is 6 inches wide, but you just need to fill that gap. And again, I'm doing 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So if you've got 8 1/2 by 8 1/2, you might want to increase this by 1/4 inch or so. And I'm not going to overlap it. I want it to be side by side, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it down a little bit. I rough cut it knowing I'd have to trim it, but I didn't want to do it until I got my spine in, just in case, you know, I came over further than I planned, or it didn't wrap exactly the way I expected. So not a whole lot. I think I'm taking off an 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16. I said this was 6 inches. It's not. It's 5 3/4 is what it is. But you know, you'll need to measure it based on where that panel lands. Okay. Let's see how we did. Okay, I over trimmed a little bit, but I think I'm okay with that. There is a fix for over trimming. If you're not happy with the gap that you've got, don't leave a gap. Either keep it tight and put something there to soften that edge, or if you've got too big of a gap, you can also do the same thing. And I think I already even planned on putting a strip there. I don't think it's a big deal, so I'd already trimmed and cut this out. So this is going to be added anyway. I think that's the current plan. A lot of times with covers, I'll set aside and do some preliminary planning, and then when I actually start doing it, I make changes at the last minute, which is pretty typical because there's so much embellishment on the cover. So it's a lot of fussing and adjusting as you go. Okay. Okay, here we go. That's a little wider than I wanted it, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to reposition it. So there's the base of our cover. So now I'm going to get all my goodies. As you can see, here's my Ziploc bag. I try to keep things organized this way. And we have this gap here in the back, so I'm going to cut a little piece of the same cardstock that came from the cover. It's going to go right here, so I'm going to trim that out right now. We'll get that installed as well. Mm. It's kind of, it's pretty narrow, so I'm going to actually put a mark on both sides because it's going to be hard to hold it in the trimmer. Oops, almost did it upside down. Okay, I think I got it. Let's see. Make sure I'm doing it right side up. Let's look at the print. Yeah. So I just want to verify that I'm doing it right side up, the letters, and I am. It looks good, so let's get it in. Okay, now we're back on the cover. So I've matted in black this ephemera card, which is going to be the feature on the page. And then I just put some chipboard, and this happens to be the leftover chipboard from the chipboard in the pack. So I'm going to lift this slightly off the page. And I think this is where I'm going, but I'm not sure. I'm going to lay it in real quick, and we're going to make some decisions. I think I had... these layers, and then I think I did something right there. I fussy cut these flowers and put chipboard on the back of them. This is from the 12 by 12 pattern, or 12 by 12 collection pack, and it's just, I just fussy cut some of these roses out to add interest to the cover. And this is actually 2 roses cut, and then I glued the 2 roses together and put chipboard on the back. And then I've got this little bit of, and I might even put some graphic 45 linen roses on here. I haven't decided yet. They don't have yellow roses, so linen would have to be my choice. And then I fussy cut this, and I'm not sure I'm even going to use it. Not crazy about that. So I had laid this in once in an effort to do some of my planning, and I took a photograph of it, and I think I'm going to go back and reference my photograph before I lay this in. So this is basically what the cover is going to look like, though. I'm going to add a little bit more detail to it, but I think I'm going to do that offline so you guys can get a real sense of what I'm doing here. I don't think I need to actually glue each individual piece down, but you'll see it in its finished state in the walkthrough. So this is definitely what you need for planning purposes. And then I think, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and glue my pieces down offline. Haven't decided, but I need to give up my phone for the moment because that's where my photo is. So I have to go look at that, and then I'll make some decisions. Okay, thanks. I'll see you soon.